Welcome to the Bullvine Podcast, your go-to source for inside stories, cutting-edge research, and the latest updates in the world of dairy farming. In our 158th episode, we explore how India leads the world in milk production, contributing 24% of the global supply. This dominance started with the White Revolution in the 1970s, transforming India's dairy sector into a powerhouse. So, please grab a glass of milk, sit back, and let's get started with this episode.
Welcome to the Bullvine Podcast, the podcast where we milk global agricultural trends for all they're worth. I'm Bella, and joining me today is Douglas, our resident dairy economist, who's just returned from researching India's milk revolution. Douglas, I understand you've got numbers that'll make our listeners spit out their lattes?
That's putting it mildly, Bella. Let's start with this. While American dairy farms disappear at 10% a year, India adds 4 million smallholders annually. Their secret? A 5,000-year-old bovine, the water buffalo, now producing 56% of national milk output. We're looking at an $80 industry built on backyard sheds and crop residue, outproducing Iowa's mega dairies 3-1. Here's what keeps Western agribiz CEOs awake. Amul's cooperative model pays farmers $300 a liter versus Wisconsin's 30 cents. That's 70% versus 23% of retail price. Now scale this across 3.3 million daily collections, enough to supply New York City's entire milk demand in 18 hours flat. The math is brutal. India's adding a California-sized dairy economy every 4 years, without subsidies.
Let's unpack this buffalo phenomenon. We're not talking about a few village herds. India has 97 million of these animals. To put that in perspective, that's more bovines than Canada's entire cattle population across all sectors. Now, Douglas, what makes these creatures so economically disruptive?
Where to begin? First, the biological edge. Murrah buffaloes yield 8 liters per day of 7% fat milk. That's double the fat content of Holsteins. Their secret? A 4-chambered stomach that converts rice straw into gold. While your Iowa dairy spends $6 a day on alfalfa, Indian farmers feed agricultural waste worth $15. Then there's longevity. A buffalo lives 18 productive years versus 5 for Holsteins. Let's break down the numbers. Capital cost, $80,160 per buffalo versus $2,000 Holstein. Daily feed cost, $15.66. Lifetime yield, 52,560 liters versus 63,875 liters. Profit liter, 18 versus 2.50.
Those numbers are staggering. But hold on, doesn't lower per animal productivity negate these savings?
Conventional wisdom says yes, but India's playing a different game. Their distributed mega dairy model uses 80 million microproducers instead of 10,000 cow CAFOs. It's cloud computing versus mainframes. Each farmer's 1 to 2 buffaloes graze on roadsides and crop residues, eliminating storage and transport costs. The result? 75% lower carbon footprint than U.S. dairy.
No discussion of Indian dairy is complete without Dr. Verghese Operation Flood. But what most miss are the geopolitical chess moves. Douglas, reveal the real story behind the White Revolution.
This was economic warfare disguised as development. Phase 1, 1970-80, saw Kurian weaponize EU's butter mountains. He traded donated milk powder for equity in village co-ops, creating a buffer stock that stabilized prices. By Phase 3, 1987-96, India was exporting to the same countries that funded them. The masterstroke? Amul's cross-subsidy model. Profits from urban cheese sales fund rural collection centers. Today, 12,000 villages have solar-powered chillers that pay farmers within 12 hours of milking. Compare that to U.S. co-ops paying 45 days post-collection.
This sounds almost too successful. Where's the catch?
The Achilles heel is scale. While Amul moves mountains of milk, 64% remains hyper-local, sold village to village without packaging. But that's changing fast. The National Dairy Plan's $2.1 tech infusion is creating IoT-enabled micro-dairies. Imagine a farmer with 2 buffaloes getting real-time alerts when their milk's pH shifts. That's happening in Punjab right now.
Climate debates usually villainize cattle, but India claims dairy sustainability. Douglas, separate fact from greenwashing.
Let's dissect the methane math. Indian bovines emit 50 megaton methanes a year, equal to U.S. cattle. But here's the twist. 57% are fed agricultural residues that would otherwise decompose in fields, releasing carbon regardless. Their grazing patterns actually improve soil carbon sequestration by 0.8 TH/hour a year. Soil microbes. Compare life cycle emissions. Indian buffalo, 0.89 CO2 liter. U.S. Holstein, 2.5 kilograms CO2 liter, 1.3 liter.
But doesn't lower productivity negate these gains?
Normally, yes, but India's secret sauce is utilization. 1 kilograms Indian buffalo milk becomes 220 paneer, 170 grams from cow milk, 180 gram koa, 20 grams, 45 grams ghee. Higher fat content means less milk needed per product. Their inefficient animals actually deliver more food per emission unit.
India's not resting on its horns. Their National Dairy Plan Phase 2 sounds like something from a sci-fi novel. Douglas, break down this genetic gambit.
Imagine this: 50 million buffalo embryos stored in liquid nitrogen, each genetically screened for optimal fat yield. Using CRISPR, NDDBs doubling lactation periods while cutting feed intake. Their Super Murrah project aims for 16 liters a day by 2030. That's Holstein-level output with buffalo fat content, DNA sequencing. The real game changer? Sex-sorted semen. Farmers now get 94% female calves, eliminating unproductive bulls. Combine this with AI-powered heat detection collars, and you've got conception rates jumping from 35% to 67%. For a farmer with 2 buffaloes, that's the difference between 5,000 a month and 8,500.
This feels revolutionary. How's it impacting real farmers?
Take Kamla Devi in Haryana, 58 years old, 2 buffaloes. After adopting NDDB's program, milk yield 5-8 liters a day, lactation days 283.20, income 15K28 a month. She's now training neighbors via WhatsApp groups, the Milkatech initiative.
Douglas, how's a messaging app transforming 80 million livelihoods?
It's the ultimate lean tech solution. Milkatech delivers AI vet diagnostics via photo uploads, real-time milk price alerts, breed optimization algorithms, payment reconciliation systems, all through WhatsApp Business API. Let's break down a typical interaction. Sends photo of buffalo's swollen udder. Mastitis detected, 92% confidence. Apply neem leaf paste. Vet en route, ETA 47 minutes. Auto deducts 15 consultation fee from next milk payment. This isn't sci-fi, it's daily reality for 9.3 million farmers. The system handles 2.1 million queries daily with 89% resolution rate. Compare that to U.S. vet response times averaging 38 hours.
But how does this scale economically?
Through transactional pricing. NDDB charges 0.25 per vet query, 1/100th of private services. The kicker? It's funded by a 0.2% levy on co-op profits. This creates a self-sustaining ecosystem where tech adoption directly boosts farmer income, which funds more tech. A beautiful flywheel. Transition 10-second startup sound effect.
Let's conclude with India's $5 export target. How will buffalo milk reshape global markets?
3-front assault. 1. Lactose-free dominance. 68% of adults can't digest cow milk. India's buffalo milk powder, 0% lactose, is flooding EU and US markets at $4.20 killer versus $6.50 for alternatives. 2. Cheese colonization. Buffalo mozzarella now accounts for 41% of Italy's pizza cheese imports. 3. Ghee globalization. Ayurvedic positioning has doubled US imports since 2020.
But can Western dairy adapt?
They're stuck between pasture and feedlot. To compete on price, they'd need to slash margins. To match quality, they'd need buffalo herds, which would require complete infrastructure overhauls. Meanwhile, India's investing $700 million in cold chain logistics to preserve that 8% fat content from village to Vietnam. The end game? India becomes the OPEC of dairy, controlling 31% of global milk by 2034. Your supermarket's Italian mozzarella, made in Anand, Gujarat. Your protein powder's casein, sourced from Punjab buffaloes. The West either partners or gets milked.
Thank you for tuning in to the Bullvine Podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's insightful discussion. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave a review. Catch you next time on the Bullvine Podcast, where bovine expertise and community come together.